Hey everybody, happy Saturday. I'm a little late getting going today. It's been kind of a lazy day. Um, Somebody asked me the other day about assertiveness training. And even though I don't use the words assertiveness training when I'm doing the training that I do, essentially that is what I do. Um, So I want to talk about assertiveness, and I want to talk about how it connects to interest-based conflict resolution or collaboration. My definition of collaboration is the art of working together for good solutions and good relationships. And I often show this diagram of the 5 styles. You've heard me talk about the 5 styles of conflict solving. I show this diagram where it illustrates how collaboration is high in both cooperation or helping the other to get their needs met. It's also high in asserting your own needs, and competition is high in asserting your own needs but low in cooperation, and accommodation is high in meeting the needs of others but low in asserting your own needs, and avoid is low in both. Low in both asserting your own needs and supporting others to get their needs met. Compromise just falls in the middle there. Um, so really, collaboration and competition are the two that are about asserting your own needs. And sometimes, and you've heard me say this before as well, that there's a time and place for all 5 of those styles. So they all 5 have a time when it's the most appropriate style to use. Sometimes you can combine them. I think that's one of the trickiest things about this process, is figuring out what is the best style to use. So sometimes competition is the way that you need, the style that you need to best assert your own needs. Sometimes it's collaboration, and I would say that when you want to both assert your own needs and have good relationship and support others to get their needs met, then collaboration is the style to choose. So I think that's actually a pretty good it's a pretty good clue, I guess, about whether or not collaboration is the best style to use. Is the relationship important, and is getting your own needs met important? And if it's a yes to both, then collaboration is the style you want to go for. Somebody also talked about, I talked about the other day about attitude in conflict resolution, and how your attitude can really impact the outcome or impact how things go. And I talked about how you can manifest good relationships, how you can manifest bad relationships, and how your attitude really does have such a huge impact on the situation, and how we do have a lot of power in conflict, even when we don't feel like we have very much power. And somebody asked me about those times when the other person won't come to the table, or the other people won't come to the table. And yeah, I mean, like I said, all 5 of those styles, they have their time and place. You might choose collaboration, but that doesn't mean the other person's going to choose collaboration. And certainly there are times when you might really prefer to collaborate, and you might really even work hard at trying to get the other person to collaborate. You might work really hard to try to bring them to the table. You might work really hard. Thanks, Heather. You might work really hard to be that person who listens, but also wants to get your own needs met. And the other person or the other people might still say, like, no, I'm not interested. They might continue to be mean, or really competitive, or whatever. And it's not magic, even though I sometimes use the word magic. You can't make other people do things, right? There's things that you can do, there's skills that you can use, there's questions that you can ask that may make it more likely that someone is going to be willing to collaborate with you. But at the end of the day, you can't really make someone do that. There are times then when I think those skills still, thanks, Heather. There are times when I think that that these skills, even if they're not working to bring the other person to the table, they can still be really useful for you. They can still be really useful for you to, in terms of how you feel about the situation, right? So, so even if you can't bring that other person to the table, you knowing what your own needs are, you knowing what your own interests are, and having a really solid, really clear understanding of what are the needs that I have to have met in order to be satisfied with the outcome of this situation. And when I talk about needs, I'm talking about things that are intangible, right? So in a situation, maybe let's say you're having a conflict with a colleague or someone at work, and they refuse to talk to you, they refuse to work with you. You know, say it's that one of those things where it's villainization, where you know, maybe they're villainizing you, and maybe you can't get them. Maybe you can't get them to the table. Maybe it's just never going to happen. Maybe they've made a decision that they don't want to work with you anymore, or whatever. And in a situation like that, when I talk about your interests are not, I want to work with that person. That's actually a position, right? So that's an outcome. That's a solution. So you may not get the wants. But if you know what the needs are, I want to feel respected by the people that I work with. I want to feel good about the work that I do. I want to be in a workplace where I'm valued and appreciated. There's lots of ways that you can get those needs met that have nothing to do with that person. And it may help you really think about what are your other options, right? Sometimes there are ways that you can get people to come to the table. There's techniques that you can use and that sort of thing. But yeah, you know, so when this person asked that question, you know, what about those times? Manifesting only goes so far. Absolutely true. You can, when you know what your needs are, I think you have, I think you open up opportunities for yourself, but you can't make people come to the table. So I do have some ideas about, you know, how can you get someone to come to the table, but they don't necessarily work all the time. And in fact, maybe there are situations where you don't really want them to come to the table. Maybe the options to get your needs met without their help or support might actually be better options for you. So those are all things that you got to think about. And Heather just posted, you know, how you feel about yourself in the face of conflict. I think that using these skills really can help you with that as well, right? You can, when you know what's important to you, when you know, like let's say one of your interests is, I want to feel good about the way I handle myself in this situation. Well, maybe one of the ways you can do that is by taking care of yourself and making decisions that might have nothing to do with that person. So anyway, thanks for commenting, Heather. Thanks for watching, Debbie and Lori, and everybody else that's going to watch this later. Have a good Saturday night.